8:46.
Everybody take a weapon. There are weapons on the back table right there. Okay. All right, we're at the bottom, page 846. So we just had to the episode where the Jewish people wanted to go through the land of Edom, and the Edomites would not let them come through. They said, if you come in, we're going to attack you. So then it says, Vayisu mikadesh. Now you have to stay with this because we're going to see a connection in the next couple pieces here. Vayisu mikadesh, the Jewish people travel from a place called Kadesh. Vayivo b'nei Yisrael kol ha'ida hor ha'hor. The little mountain on the big mountain. Rashi says like a little apple on a big apple. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe vel Aaron v'hor ha'hor al gvul eretz Edom lemor. He says to Moshe and Aaron at this place location called Hor ha'hor, Ye'asef Aaron el Amav. Aaron is going to, literally the words being gathered to his people. And meaning that Aaron is going to be nifter, Aaron is going to die. Now this is evidence of the idea, you see, when you bury somebody in a grave, whatever else you would call it, you wouldn't say gather him to his people. You gather him to worms and you gather him to maggots. You don't gather him to his people. I hope those aren't his people. And so, otherwise he's got to choose new people. So, Ye'asef el Amav obviously means that there's going to be something for the neshama, that the neshama is going to be gathered to its people wherever the neshamas are, because the people are not down in that grave with him. And so, there's even sources that say when a person dies, that his relatives who are predeceased him, or people he knew, they greet him in order to give him a soft landing up there. So his parents or his wife or his grandfather, whoever it is that's up there to help the neshama get adjusted to the new station. So he says Aaron is going to die. Ki lo yavo el oretz asher nasat livnei Yisrael. He's not coming to the land al asher marisem es pi lemei meriva, because of those waters. So what is Moshe going to do? Now stay with this. Kach es Aaron ves Elazar beno. Take Aaron and his son Elazar, who is the oldest surviving son. V'halo sam hor hor. Take him up to the mountain. V'havshet es Aaron es begodov. Remove Aaron's clothing. Vilbashtam es Elazar beno. And then put him on Elazar. V'Aaron yeyasefu mesham. Aaron is going to die there. Vayas Moshe kasher tziva Hashem. Moshe did as Hashem commanded, as difficult as it was to do this. Vayalu el hor leinei kol ha'ida. They go up to the mountain in full view of everybody. So now what the people, now put your proper perspective here. Hashem says to Moshe, I want you to take Aaron, and Aaron's now going to die. The Medrash says that Moshe came to Aaron's house. Normally, Aaron and the elders went in the morning to greet Moshe. They went to Moshe's house. This time, Moshe and the elders come to Aaron's house and say, what's up? And Moshe says to Aaron, well, and he gives him, according to the Midrashim, he asked him they said a few things that would allude to the fact of what's going to happen. Eventually he said, okay, now you're going to die. Hashem said that you have to go up to the mountain to die, and Aaron follows Moshe like the Medrash says, like a sheep going off to the slaughter. And he goes up to the mountain with what? Now the people, all they see is three men going up the mountain. They see Moshe, Elazar, and Aaron going up. And then what's going to happen? Vayavshet Moshe as Aaron es begodov. He removes Aaron's clothing. Vayalbesh osam es Elazar beno, and he puts them on Elazar his son. Vayomas Aaron sham berosh hahor. Aaron dies. The Medrash says that they walked in, their cave opened up. And Moshe Rabbeinu said there was a bed that was set and there was a candle burning. And he told Aaron to get into the bed, and Aaron got into the bed, and he said, pull in your hands, and put it. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, I want that type of death also. Soylent Green. I want that type of death also. That Aaron has this very, very calming death. And Moshe Rabbeinu at that point, he said, Hashem, that's how I want to go. Right. And then they come down from the mountain. Now Moshe comes down with Elazar. Vayiru kol ha'ida ki gava Aaron. Everybody saw that Aaron has expired. Vayivku es Aaron shloshim yom kol beis Yisrael. The entire congregation, everybody, mourned for Aaron for 30 days. The very end of the Torah, at the very end of the Torah, if you take a look just for a second, it says on page 1122. On 1122, if you look 6 lines from the bottom, 1122, 6 lines from the bottom, when Moshe dies, it says, Vayivku b'nei Yisrael es Moshe b'arvos vav shloshim yom. The b'nei Yisrael mourned for Moshe for 30 days. Here it says, Kol beis Yisrael, the entire congregation. By Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe was the lawgiver. Moshe's involvement was with the men. When he died, the men mourned for Moshe Rabbeinu. Aaron was the man of peace. Aaron was the one who went around making shalom bayis. He's the one who made people patch up their differences, and therefore everyone mourned for Aaron, including the women. Everybody, kol beis Yisrael. By Moshe Rabbeinu, it was only the men, because the men were the only ones who felt the presence of Moshe. He was more involved with the men. He was in the base medrash with them, teaching them Torah. Aaron was the man who was involved with the people. So Aaron dies. There's actually a medrash that says that when Aaron was lying there, there was a cloud, and the cloud started covering Aaron, and the cloud covered his feet. As Moshe Rabbeinu removed the garments, so this cloud started covering Aaron up. So Moshe Rabbeinu said to Aaron, what do you feel? And he said, well, nothing yet. He says, what do you feel? What, nothing yet. And eventually the cloud covered Aaron completely. And the Medrash says, Moshe Rabbeinu said to Aaron, what is it? What is death? And Aaron said, I'm not allowed to tell you, but I can only tell you I regret that I didn't get here earlier. That's what Aaron said to, that's what the Medrash says Aaron said to Moshe. Now, it doesn't mean a person is allowed to get there earlier. You have to wait your turn. But at the end of the day, Aaron dies and they come down from the mountain. The people are rattled, like, yo, where's Aaron? We 3 went up, 2 came down, and the malach, the angels, what we translate as angels, they show an image of Aaron in the bed so that the people are convinced that Aaron died, that they didn't, that Moshe and Elazar didn't just dump up there, it didn't kill him, that Aaron died. Now, what's interesting over here is, why is it called Hor HaHor? It's called the little mountain on the big mountain. And the little mountain on the big mountain alludes to the idea that Aaron was the big mountain, he was the Kohen Gadol, and now his position is going to go to his son, which is Elazar, who's the little mountain on the big mountain. Moshe Rabbeinu does not get this. Moshe Rabbeinu does not get to transfer his position to his children. Who takes over for Moshe Rabbeinu? Yoshua, who's not Moshe Rabbeinu's child. He's his biological child, he's a Talmud of his. Whereas Aaron, it goes to his biological child. There's actually in halacha, by the way, there is a halacha in any community where there are positions. Let's say somebody is the Rav of the community. If all else is equal, his son becomes the next Rav. Even if his son isn't the most qualified, as long as he is qualified and then could grow with the position, he's the one according to Allah, unless there's been a pre-stipulation in the community that it's not going as an automatic inheritance. And by the way, there have been communities, obviously, where there have been fights over who gets who takes over the position. Obviously, you can't have it go too smoothly. By Aaron, it goes to his son. Why does Aaron merit that? Aaron merits it should go to his son. Very possibly because Aaron was the man of peace. And the most peaceful and natural transition is that it should go from father to son. So Aaron merits that his son gets the position. Now, let's stay with this. According to the Medrash, they're in a cave. Moshe Rabbeinu took, and the Medrash says he took each garment off of Aaron, he's wearing the garments of the Kohen Gadol, and he put it on his son Elazar. And he took the next garment and put it on his son Elazar. Took the next garment, put it on his son Elazar. Now, if you do that, what ends up happening?
You're on backwards.
They're on backwards. They're on inside, backwards, inside out, upside, whatever you call, however you describe it. And then when they left the cave, it miraculously switched. And the question becomes, why, first of all, if it could miraculously switch, why not miraculously switch right there in the cave?
Holy wedgie.
Right? Well, what's that?
A holy wedgie.
A holy wedgie. Why not miraculously switch in the cave? Why do you have to wait till you go outside the cave? And why not just take them off and then put them on? Just take them all off and then put them on one at a time. That would be the most logical thing to do. Why put it on? What sense does it make to put it on from inside out? So it's a profound answer. It's a profound answer. Aaron was the Kohen Gadol. The halacha is that a Kohen Gadol is not allowed to come into contact with even his next of kin who dies. A regular Kohen could come into contact with the basic seven relatives. But he's not, a Kohen Gadol is not even allowed to come into contact with father, mother, wife, son, daughter, nobody. He's not allowed to become Tameh. Now, how does one become the Kohen Gadol? By wearing the garments of the Kohen Gadol. That's how you transfer the position. If Elazar would be wearing the garments in the right order, at that moment he would become the Kohen Gadol, but he's in a cave with his father. He's not allowed to be because he's the Kohen Gadol. So they're put on backwards. And when put on backwards, you're not the Kohen Gadol. You walk out of the cave. Now it transfers. Now it changes, because now you can become the Kohen Gadol because you're outside the cave for Mara. The profound answer, which explains the Medrash, because the Medrash says that that's what happened. And it obviously begs the question of why should it be done in an Eli? And that's why he didn't put it on in the normal manner inside the cave. So he puts it on one at a time. Now he's wearing the garments. He walks out of the cave. You have a miraculous switch, and now he is the Kohen Gadol. He was not the Kohen Gadol until he stepped out of the cave. That's the idea. Okay. Now, take a look at the next section. 3 lines from the bottom. 3 lines from the bottom on page 848. Vayisu mehor hahor derech Yamsuf. The Jewish people travel from Hor Hahor. Lisbo ves Eretz Edom. They got to go around now the land of Edom because the Edomites wouldn't let them cut through. Vatiksar nefesh ha'om baderech. The people got impatient, frustrated. How does he translate it? The spirit grew short. I mean, in English we wouldn't talk like that. We'd say they got frustrated. They got riled up. Vayedaber ha'am be'elokimu ve'Moshe. And now they speak against God and Moshe. Lama elisunu mitzrayim lamus b'midbar. Why did they take us out of Egypt to die in the desert? Ki ein lechem ve'ein mayim. There's no bread. There's no water. V'nafshenu kotza b'lechem hakoka. We've had enough of that light bread, insubstantial food. And Rashi brings down that they were complaining. Listen, there's no such thing as eating and not having waste removal. Yet the mun, there was no waste removal. The people say, hey, listen, it's bound to happen sometime. Can't keep it in forever. Now, this is clearly a redundant gripe, because they've been eating the mun for 40 years. They never had an issue. All of a sudden, in the 40th year, you wake up, now you got a problem with the mun, that maybe the mun is going to cause you stomach troubles. All of a sudden, now you woke up, what happened until now? Up until now, everything was just fine. Everything was fine. Yeah, so they're obviously looking to kvetch. How does the Kodesh Baruch Hu respond to kvetch? This is a life lesson. What do you do when people are, what's the word for, they're not content. They are disgruntled. That's the word, I love that word. Like a disgruntled teenager. What do you do with somebody who is disgruntled? Vayislach Hashem ba'ames ha'nechashim hasrafim. Since fiery serpents. That'll do it, right? Fiery serpents, that works. Vayinashchu es ha'am, they start biting the people. Venomous snakes. Vayamos amrav b'Yisrael. Vayavo el Moshe b'chatanu. We sinned. Ki dibarnu b'Hashem b'vach. Oh yeah, our bad. That was a mistake. So sometimes in life, you got to keep things in a proper perspective. You got a problem, you're complaining about this, you think you got it. Sometimes guys complain about yeshiva food. Guys complain about yeshiva. Okay, listen, yeshiva food is not a 5-star hotel. I agree with you. When I was in yeshiva, I came to Israel. When I came to Israel, it was so Spartan. I'm an American kid. I grew up on meat and potatoes without the potatoes. And I come off to yeshiva. We had chicken once a week. And it was one chicken divided into 6 parts. And you got 1 part. I just remember this. I was in an Israeli yeshiva, and I was 18 years old, and I remember looking at it and saying, "This is definitely not going to work. This is not going to get me through college. Right? I can't live like that." So here you have. You're complaining. You got a problem with the mun. Have some venomous snakes. What's the idea of the venomous snakes? Because the venomous snakes, when a person is bit by a snake, they do swell up, which was what they were complaining about the mun. We're going to swell up. I mean, we've been eating mun, and it doesn't come out. We're going to eventually swell up. 40 years you've been eating mun, and you never had a problem. All of a sudden you got a problem. You want to swell up? Here, have some. Here, this is really swell, right? Have some snakes. This'll swell you up a little bit. So now, let's take this a step deeper. What really happened here? Now listen carefully, because this is also a principle in life. It's very difficult for us with the human condition. It's very difficult for us to balance certain characteristics, and what that means is, what did Aaron do to the people? Aaron was the man of peace. When people are fighting, why do you end up fighting? What is a fight a result of? Usually, I'm focused on myself and you're focused on yourself. That's why we're arguing. If we're having a fight over something, over a parking space, over a seat in shul, or over money, it's because I'm worried about me and you're worried about you. And that's where every fight comes from. Every war, every battle, every fight is, I'm worried about me and you're worried about you. How do you bridge that gap? If I'd worry about you and you would worry about me, then things would be a lot different. Aaron, if he's making peace among people, that means if they're fighting with each other, it's because each one's focused on himself. If he's making peace, it means you're focused outwards. It's very difficult for a person to be focused outwards in some areas and inwards in other areas. Yeah, maybe close that, if you're able to close that door. It's very difficult, a person to be, right now I'm focused on myself, but in other areas I won't be selfish. I'll be focused on you. Generally, a person is either focused outwards or he's only focused inwards. Maybe a little bit, there might be a little crossover. But very often, what is it that the Jewish people, Aaron, does? Aaron is the influence on the people, focus outwards. When you're focused outwards, so you're focused outwards both horizontally and vertically. That means you're concerned about people, and I'm concerned about God. If I stop being concerned about God, I'm also not concerned about people. If I'm not concerned about people, I'm not concerned about God. When Aaron dies, that outward, the outward influence that he exerts on the people, that outward, it's weakened. So what do they start focusing? They focus on themselves. So what do? You attack God. I got gripes with God now. Instead of being focused on the good and serving God, now we're making accusations. Why? It's all coming from the same place. Either you're focused outwards or you're focused inwards. And then when it comes to Torah, when it comes to any form of service in the Torah, in the Torah life, yesterday I had a guy at Mincha. 2 days ago, I had a guy die in Mincha. He was davening so loud nobody could hear themselves think in the shul. Okay, the guy's a little off balance, but he was davening so loud you couldn't hear yourself think. What do you focus on? You're trying to daven. You're focused on God. If you were focused on God, you wouldn't interrupt everybody else's mincha. So you're not focused on God. You're focused on yourself, on making an impression and showing everybody what a tzaddik you are. You're only focused on yourself. If you were really thinking about what Hashem wants, so you also be thinking about what Hashem wants you is to be focused outwards on people too. Aaron dies, that influence that he exerts on the Jewish people, that leaves. And therefore the Jewish people suddenly turn and they've got complaints. You got complaints. Have a few serpents. Have a snake or two. I don't know if any of you guys are snake people. And sometimes you see these guys who are like snake guys. Always got a snake around their neck and that sort of, No thanks. There's a famous story. This rabbi gets into a cab, and cab driver, secular guy, and he says, Rabbi, I got to tell you this. Israeli guy, Harav, I got to tell you a story. He said, yeah. He says, me and my buddies, we finished the army, and we were traveling somewhere in the jungles of Africa, and we're tented, camped out, and all of a sudden we hear yelling. One of the guys starts yelling. We get up and we see he's got this boa constrictor wrapped around him. The boa constrictor is squeezing the life out of him, and the guy's yelling. So we didn't know what to do. I had my army Uzi. I was gonna machine gun the snake off, and I thought that might not be a great idea, and we didn't know what to do. So at a certain point, one of the guys says, Yigal, ata olech lamut, Yigal, you're about to die. Lefachot tagid kriyat Shema, at least say Shema. The Yigal is turning blue already. He's like, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem. But he says, Rabbi, I got to tell you, he said the first pasuk of Shema. The minute he said the word Echad, the snake released him, and he crawled off into the jungle. And because of that guy became religious today. He covers his head, his wife covers her head, their children cover their head, the house covers its head, they're all religious today. So the dog covers, the rabbi looks at me and goes, wow. And what about you? So he looks at me and goes, me? No, it didn't happen to me, it happened to him. What's it got to do with me? Yeah, you got to know how to read the data. Sometimes you misread the data. At the end of the day, you're complaining. You got a problem. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends you venomous serpents. Snakes come, they bite, you swell up, now you learn not to complain. Why did this happen? Because Aaron died. Now, take a look. What's the connection? Let's take this a step further. Saw a beautiful shot once from maybe we could turn, Reuven, maybe we could turn it off. It's getting kind of chilly in here. Boy, it must be working good. Thank you, Reuven. I'd say you're in the hot seat, but you're not. You're in the cold seat. Yeah. There's a very beautiful idea. What was it that was there present in the merit of Aaron? It was the clouds, right? The clouds of glory. What's the connection between Aaron and the clouds? What are the clouds of glory? Why are they there specifically in the merit of Aaron? We know that the manna comes down in the merit of Moshe Rabbeinu because the manna has all tastes, and Torah has all tastes. You can taste everything in Torah. It's got so much fulfillment in there to every flavor, and there's actually a Kabbalistic idea that a person could learn Torah and actually experience the sensation of eating food, of eating meat. So Torah's got all the tastes in it. Man had all the tastes. Miriam brought the water down the well. Is in her merit because she waited by Moshe. What he said yesterday, she waited by Moshe. The clouds leave when Aaron dies. Why were the clouds there to begin with? So, very deep idea from one of the Hasidic masters. Where do clouds come from? Clouds come from vapor. When Jews are speaking nicely to each other, when Jews are in a state of shalom and we speak nice, the vapor that comes out of our mouths goes up and forms clouds. Those clouds were there because of the influence Aaron had on the Jewish people of how Jews should behave towards each other. That vapor forms the clouds. And at a deeper level, what that really means is, what did the clouds do? They protected us. What's the greatest protection for the Jewish people? Greatest protection for Jewish people if we live with each other in a state of shalom. That's our protection. And if we're having trouble with our enemies, the people make the mistake, and people are like, Trump, and this one, that one, the other one. It's not. That's just a vehicle. It's just a vehicle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is using. You should know that. You should have figured that out by now. Especially a man like this who's changing, who's going from one extreme to the other within I would say 24 hours, but sometimes it's within 10 minutes. Well, what do you think? He is the pasuk says, Leiv melech b'yad Hashem. Leiv melachim Melech b'yad Hashem. The king's heart is in the hands of God. God's the marionette. He's a puppet. And because you know why that is? You can't have a king making the decisions because he's going to run the world. The world's got to be run. What you decide to eat for lunch is up to you. When a king's making decisions about bombing things, we can't just leave it to his whims. Yeah, that's got to be manipulated. That's got to be decided by Kodesh Baruch Hu. Otherwise, it can make a real mess out of it. So, what does it really depend on? It depends on us. It all depends on us. It's not them. It's us. They're just that's all background. That's all backdrop. It's all depends on us. And if we're not being nice to each other, we don't have that protection, which is symbolized by the clouds, which comes from the vapor. And that's why the clouds are connected to Aaron. Okay. Now take a look at skip on ahead. Perek Chaf Aleph Pasuk Chaf Zayin. Go to the next page. 854. So here, the Jewish people are now battling two kings. And these are the last two kings that are blocking their access to Eretz Yisrael. The first one is called Sichon, who's the king of Heshbon. And after they defeat Sichon, then they're going to battle Og. So they ask Sichon if they could go through his land, and he says no. So they go to war with Sichon. And then take a look on the next page. On 854. Vayikach Yisrael es kol ha'orim ha'ela. They take all these cities, provinces, which Sichon was the king of after they kill him. Vayeshev Yisrael b'chol orei ha'emori. They dwell in the cities of the Amori, b'Cheshbon uv'chol b'noseha, in this place called Cheshbon and in all of the, the outlying areas, what do you call the Cheshbon, or suburbs, that's the word. Right, okay. Now, watch this next pasuk. Ki Cheshbon ir Sichon melech ha'Amorihi. Cheshbon was the city of Sichon. V'hu nilcham b'melech Moav harishon. He battled the first Moabite king, Vayikach es kol artzo miyodo ad Arnon, and he captured all the land of the Moabite king. Now, why do we care how Sichon got what he got? Why do we even care about that? And the answer is because the Jewish people were bounded by a promise. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, you're not allowed to fight Moab. The Jewish people are not allowed to fight Moab. They can't conquer Moab. But once Moab is captured by Sichon, so it's no longer the Moab that they're not allowed to capture. They're not allowed to capture Moab when the Moabites were descendants of Lot. But once the Moabites have been wiped out and now a new people has moved in, the Jewish people are allowed to go and capture them. Now, there are two lessons here. How do you think Sichon felt when he defeated Moab? When Sichon defeated Moab, he probably felt pretty good. He didn't realize that he just gave the Jewish people license to destroy him, which sometimes in life a person does that. A person goes and he thinks that what's happening is a good thing, and that good thing maybe actually be the catalyst for his disaster. There's a pasuk that says, "Osher shomur lebaylav l'ra'oso." Wealth is kept in store for a wealthy man for his downfall. So I know of cases where wealthy people have bought airplanes. Wealthy people have bought private planes. And as a result of having a private plane, they died because they crashed. So people may have been jealous when they bought their private plane. You know, John F. Kennedy had a son, John, the son of John F. Kennedy, John. He had his private plane and he crashed it with his wife and sister-in-law in the plane. I know of a man who unfortunately was his own private plane. He crashed his private plane. Sometimes you think, wow, look, he's really rolling in the dough. Wow, look at this guy, lucky guy. He's got himself a private plane. Yeah, but a private plane may very well be his downfall. Sichon he's all happy because he defeated Moab. That's terrific. He defeated Moab. Yeah, but you may have defeated Moab, and that may actually be the catalyst of your downfall. Now look at the next pasuk. Al kain yomru amoshli bo cheshbon. Those who rule say, let us go to Cheshbon, tibana v'tikanein ir Sichon. The moshli means the rulers say, let us go to the city of Cheshbon. But the Gemara says, you know what a moshel is? Who's the true moshel? Who's the true ruler? Who's the true ruler? Ezu Gibor. What's a strong person? Hakovesh Esitro, somebody who conquers his evil inclination. A moshel, it's much easier to rule, to dominate people. Let me ask you a question. Let's go to Donald Trump again. Do you think he's somebody who's a ruler? Do you think he rules over himself? Has Donald Trump ever exercised restraint in any area, way, shape, or form by any stretch of the imagination over himself? I got nothing against Donald Trump, by the way. But when you look at Donald Trump, is this a person who's got any self-discipline whatsoever? Yet he rules the world. He rules the world. Yet he can't rule over himself. He's got no control over himself in any way, shape, or form. So you have rulers have to make a cheshbon. Now, what is the word cheshbon? Cheshbon is the name of a city. But cheshbon also means an accounting, a calculation. If a person rules over himself, then everything we do in life, we have to make a calculation. We have to make an accounting. Is this really the thing I should be doing right now? Calculate, the way the Gemara puts it, calculate the gain of doing the Aveira versus the loss of the mitzvah. And calculate the gain of the mitzvah versus the loss versus not doing the Aveira. Everything that we do, we have to make that calculation constantly. Is this really worth it? For those few moments of pleasure, is it really worth sacrificing or having to be accountable and getting some sort of, there's going to be some sort of negative consequence? Is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? Think about it. Is it really worth it? Is it worth stealing it because of the doing the Aveira for the gain of the money? A person has to constantly make a cheshbon. More than that. There's one of the most frightening statements that I ever saw in any Musar book. A man could work his entire life accumulating money, and eventually he'll die and leave it for who? What? Wife. His wife? Not necessarily the worst thing. Might not be the best thing. You're close though. The government? The government would be bad. His slave? His slave wouldn't be terrible. His son certainly is not, people, that's the natural way you leave it.
Somebody doesn't know.
If somebody doesn't know, may also not be. He may leave it. Tzedakah will be a merit for him. He may die and leave it for his wife's next husband. How's that? How's that? A guy could be accumulating money. Remember, what's his name? John Kerry was he was the foreign minister in the United States with the real big hair, the coiffed hair. So John Kerry, do you know who he married? He married Mrs. Henrietta Heinz from the Heinz Ketchup Company. Yeah. So she was the heir of the Heinz fortune and married John Kerry. Now, I think that Mr. Heinz, if he knew he'd spent his whole life making ketchup just so John Kerry could use it for his hairdo, Mr. Heinz would have eaten mustard. The last thing he'd want to do is leave ketchup, is work on ketchup so that somebody else could inherit the fortune. And so a person sometimes has to, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? What am I going to do with all this? Somebody just told me, what's his name's a trillionaire now. Yeah. Elon Musk is a trillionaire. Say, I don't know if I had half a trillion, I think I'd be okay. I'd be okay with half a trillion too. He's a trillionaire. We can't even figure out, I can't even imagine. Somebody said if you want to figure that out, how much that is, so the way to think about it is if he gave you $1 billion, he'd still have 999 billion left for himself. That's how to figure out, that's what a trillion is. So, he's got a trillion, what, you can't take it with you. You can't take, a wealthy man, this is very funny, a wealthy man, a firm guy gave a lot of tzedakah. So he once came to Rav Shteyman, who was the Gadol Hador. So he walks in, and he used to give a lot of money to tzedakah. So he came to Rav Shteyman, and Rav Shteyman said to him, I was thinking about it, I think it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The guy says, what doesn't work? He says, no, I'm telling you it doesn't work. It won't work. It doesn't work. He says, what doesn't work? He says, well, I was thinking about the size of a grave, and I realized that based on the size of a grave, we won't be able to fit all of your money. Your money cannot fit all into that grave. It doesn't fit in the grave. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Make a calculation. Is it really worth it? Is that what the best use of your time? That's what making a cheshbon is. One last point. Take a look at the end of the Parashat. Moshe Rabbeinu, after they finished with Sichon, then they got to confront Og. Take a look, 854, 8 lines from the bottom. Vayiftu vayalu derech ha-Bashan, the Jewish people, they now turn and they go by way of the Bashan. Vayetze Og melech ha-Bashan likrosav hu v'chol amo la-milchama edrei. So Og and his people come out to fight the Jewish people. Now Og is this described in the Gemara. Vayomer Hashem al Moshe al tiroso. Hashem says to Moshe, don't be afraid. From which we could deduce that Moshe was afraid. Now, what was Moshe afraid of? Why is he suddenly afraid of Og? He says, don't be afraid. Ki bi'adcha nasati oso, it's called b'ozartzo. I'm delivering him in, I'm going to send him in your hands. Don't worry about it. You got nothing to worry. Why was Moshe worried? So the Chazal say, Rashi brings down, Og was the guy who came to Avram Avinu, and he told Avram Avinu that Lot has been captured. And that merit, Moshe Rabbeinu was right, he's got this one merit. Could you imagine? Moshe Rabbeinu has a lot more merits. That tells
what merit does he have?
that when Avram Avinu, when the people of Sodom captured Lot, so then the messenger who told Avram Avinu, your nephew's been captured, was Lot. Was Og.
So he had some merit.
He had some merit.
Okay.
Now, Moshe Rabbeinu's got more merit. So what are you worried about? The answer is we don't know how powerful a merit is. So the Medrash says that, what did Moshe, the Gemara in Bracha says, Moshe Rabbeinu fought him. What did he do? He took a hatchet. He jumped 10 amos, which is about, we call it 15 feet. He took a hatchet, which is 15 feet, 10 amos, and Moshe Rabbeinu was 10 feet, took a hatchet 10 feet, jumped 10 feet, which means he's 45 feet off the ground, swung the hatchet, nailed right in the ankle. And that killed him. That's right. I once made a calculation. Based on those proportions, that Og was about 4/5 of a mile tall. Okay? Now, what's that? The Bud Khalifa? What's it called? What's it called? The big building in what? How's it? Burj. Where is it?
In Dubai.
In Dubai. That's the tallest one in the world, right? Dubai. Yeah, that's it. Isn't that the
pool that Trump had put in? That's bigger than any skyscraper, he said.
But this
Weird pool he put in
where?
at the White House or something.
But this one, that's the tallest one in the world, right? So where's the tallest? Which is the tallest? One of them dwarfs everything else.
I think they did. No, I think it's in Singapore. I'm not sure. Yes.
I think Burj Khalifa, isn't that in Saudi Arabia or in Dubai or whatever it is, it's tall. So Og Melech HaBashan, Burj Khalifa is it? That's the one. It dwarfs all the other ones. It dwarfs them. So Og Melech HaBashan is this. Now, most would agree that it's trying to communicate a metaphorical idea. It could be it's literal. We have no reason to say that, but there's some sort of metaphor here. And one of the ideas here is that Moshe Rabbeinu is nervous. I mean, stop and think about it. If a guy is that tall and his ankle is 45 feet off the ground, hitting him in the ankle with a hatchet would be roughly the equivalent of poking one of us in the ankle with a toothpick. That's not going to kill anybody. Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu hits him, he kills him, he nails him in the ankle. The lesson is that no matter what the obstacle, if Hashem says, try, so you do the best you can. If the best you can is hit the guy in the ankle with a toothpick, so that's what you do. Moshe Rabbeinu uses an axe. And leave the results to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If that's the best you could do, that's the best you could do. And leave the results. But the real question here, and this is the kicker, no pun intended, this is the kicker. If you make a calculation, if Og lived from the time of Lot, Avram Avinu, till now, Moshe Rabbeinu kills him. That means he lived, and not only that, there's one opinion that he was on the outside of the ark when Noah, at the time when Noah, he was the first jet skier, right? And so if Og was living from the time of Noah till now, you're talking about hundreds, if not thousands of years. I know exactly what that's a very long life. So there's actually a source that says, what did Og do that he merited long life? This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. What did Og do besides not dying? What did Og do that caused him to live so long? The Medrash says, what? That was his merit. But why should it? That's a merit that he has. Why does it give him long life? What gives specifically long life? The Medrash says that he went to Avram and Sarah and he said to them, the two of you are beautiful like a tree alongside a brook. And for that compliment, he was granted long life. You tell somebody something positive, you're doing them a favor, it's like giving them a gift. For that, he was given the gift of long life. But in the very next sentence, he said, the two of you are beautiful like a tree alongside a brook, but you don't produce fruit. And for that shtach, for that dig, was decreed that he's going to be killed by their offspring. That's why Moshe read. And that's how he merits long life. So sometimes people are looking for, what's the key to life? The key to life is to use your mouth properly, build people up, encourage them, compliment them, and if it's your wife, you also get a good supper. So it's a very important lesson. And then you live long because you won't try to poison you. All right.
Yeah, that was good. Good lesson.
Okay.